Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the part 2 of our video. And just a heads up, I already have the code on GitHub, the code for this particular course, so you can just go and make use of it. But don't forget to check the readme file, because I tell you some things you have to do to make the project work. You have to make use of the API key. Okay, perfect. For now, without talking anymore, let's go ahead and copy. What we want is this piece of code here, which is the URL that will allow us to make our requests. So I can just come here and copy this just like that, and let's open Android Studio. And if you can see on the screen, this is what we had on our last video, and I don't really want to go again because I already tried to explain this to you guys, so we can continue with the work today. So continuing with the work, let me first close these files because I have a lot of them open. Okay, not we need you, but we can close the rest. Okay, so now we have a clean space to work with. Perfect. Now here first we are going to do some basic imports into our file, and I'm sorry for that. So now we are going to import. First we want our Google Maps Flutter, then Google Maps Flutter.dart. This is the first import we are going to use, and of course we will need to import our HTTP, and make sure you import this as HTTP. Okay, and we still need to import something else, which is Dart convert, because we will need to decode our JSON. And as I told you, don't worry, we will make all of this process using block pattern or RX Dart in the future, but now to make things easy, let's just go this way. And of course, let's create a constant, and we're going to call this constant API key, which is going to hold your API key, of course. And after that, when you have the API key, you'll just put the value of the API key in here. But since I cannot show you guys my API key, I'm just showing you guys what you have to do. Now let's create a method inside of our class, which is going to be a future string. And I have issues sometimes naming methods, but okay. Get route coordinates. I'm going to call this. So we want to get a route from to coordinates. That's the goal. So in here we are going to take two parameters, latitude, longitude, location 1, and our latitude, longitude for our location 2. So L1 and L2 is basically location, and I don't want to write like location. Okay, we are going to create a string URL, which is going to be our URL. This, we just copied this URL, and let's here on we have your API key. You just put here API key, and remember, once you have the API key value into that, we are going to replace it in here. And if you see, what matters for us on this URL is origin. You just delete this, and we are going to pass some coordinates in here. For example, for our origin, we are going to pass in here. First, we are going to pass L1 for our location 1 dot latitude, comma, L1 L1. I guess I deleted things I didn't have to. I think I over deleted this. Oh, I deleted the destination as well. So make sure you just delete the origin, the Disney stuff. So again, we will put here L1 dot latitude, comma, and this is going to be L1 dot longitude. So we are going to paste the latitude and longitude coordinates for our origin, and in here on our destination we are going to paste, oops, why am I deleting this? Okay, L2 is what we want now. So we want here L2 dot latitude, and finally we want L2 dot longitude. Perfect. This is what we want to have in here. And then down here we'll just write HTTP response await, and since we are going to use await, we know that this must be, oops, this method must be asynchronous. And what do we want to await? We want to await for HTTP get, and we're going to get URL. So what's the matter here? HTTP response, and then we have to create a variable response. Okay, so we're going to get the response from this request, and we're going to store it on this variable called response, just like that. Simple, easy peasy. Now here, okay, let's define a map, because I know that this is going to return a map. And we can call these values, you can name it the way you want, and it's going to be equal to JSON decode. What do we want to decode? We want to decode our response dot body. Okay, so we're going to create a map, and we are going to decode the JSON we are going to get as a response, and we're going to convert that into our map. And what are we going to return? And I would explain you guys how I got these values. I'm going to write here, but you just go and analyze the response I showed you on the previous video. You will understand why the values must be like this. We are going to return is a map, and the first value is routes. Okay, I can go to the browser in here, and if you see how I have this, because this is the response, sorry, this is the map, and first we have routes. That's why I have here routes, and then if you pay attention, routes is a list, and then we want the first value of that list, which is going to be 0, and inside of our list we want this overview polyline, and I'm going to paste it in here. And finally, inside of our overview polyline, we want the points, which is this string encoded polyline, and I'm going to paste that there. And ladies and gentlemen, at least for now, inside this file, this is all we have to do. And don't forget to come here and paste your API key to test this, to make this work. Okay, so with this part out of the way, there is still one last part we have to do, and that is going back to our screen home, and we still have to create one last method down here, and this method is going to be called void send request. So this is going to, let me zoom, this is going to be called when the user types something inside of our when the user types something inside of our text field. So it's going to be a string. I can call this intended location or destination where the user wants to go, and must be asynchronous, of course. And okay, inside of this, first of all, we will have a list of the type place mark, okay, and this is going to be place mark. Perfect. From here we are going to await, and we want to await from geolocator, and we want to get place mark from address, and our address is going to be the intended location or where the user wants to go. So what this will do, this method can convert address, something typed, into coordinates, and we are going to use that to know where the user wants to go in terms of coordinates. So let's create two variables, double, one called latitude, which is going to be equal to place mark 0, because it's a list and we want the first element, position dot latitude, and we are going to create a second variable called longitude. No, it has to be longitude here, longitude, and placed it in here. Okay, so now what are we going to do with the variables we have? Don't worry, let's create something in terms of coordinates. So we're going to create a point, and we're going to call this destination. And now you see why I didn't name here destination, because I would use destination down here. And destination is going to be equal to latitude, longitude, and we created an object of type lat ln geo latitude longitude with these two variables. Okay. Perfect. So now we have our method on add marker pressed, but I want to rename this, and we are going to rename this to add marker. And there's a couple things I want to change in here. First of all, I want to be able to pass our destination so that we will get our destination marker in the destination, and now I want to pass the intended location as well, but we're going to have an error because this method is not defined like that. But for now it's fine. We are going to change that afterwards. After that, we want to have a string which we are going to call route, and route is going to be equal to await. I hope I did include Google services already. Google services is our class, and get route coordinates. And what are we going to pass here is our initial position is the first point, and the last point is our destination. Okay. And now we will want to convert this in terms of, let's create a method called create. We want to be able to, how can I say, we want to then write the route inside of the map, but there's something I forgot to mention on our previous video. I forgot to show you guys that, and that's a method to actually add the polylines. And polylines is, as I told you, the lines on the map, those lines that make up a route. Okay, I have here polylines, but we have this method add marker, and I'm going to create a method which is similar to this, which is called void add polylines. And this what's going to do is basically it's going to draw and then set state to be able to draw on the map. Sorry for mixing things, but there's a couple things to be able to draw on the map. You want to come here and write polylines is equal to polylines, and this will display the lines on the map. Okay, we can come down here now. And where is our method? I'm lost now. Where is our method? Okay, so what are we going to do here? This method is similar to the method we have up here, and what we have to do is we have our polyline set, and we are going to add a polyline for the polyline ID. Since our UID is not working for now, I can just make use of last position dot to string as well, just to generate a unique ID. And there is still a couple things that you take when you are dealing with polylines. So there are still other parameters we will have to consider, and one of the parameters is width, which is going to define the width of our polyline. I will set 10, and another parameter is the color. Here you can define the color you think it's the best one for your app, but to keep things simple, I will just put something like, where's that colors. My computer does this every now and then, I'm sorry. Oh, why? Okay, so my computer decided to give us a break, maybe because I am loading a video while I'm doing this, but okay, I'm sorry for that. Colors dot black. So this is going to be the color of our polyline, or the route that's going to be drawn on our map. And on tap, for now we are not going to display nothing when the user taps in here, so we still have a method here which is points, and here is where we have the magic, because for the points, where's that, we are going to use convert to latitude longitude. Okay, and then we are going to have here, we need to, as you can see, for the convert to latitude longitude, we are going to take a list, so we may need to use this part in here. So I'll copy this and I'll insert it in here, and this method here needs a string, so I will rename this method to create route, because this is what's going to create our route, and this string is going to be our encoded polyline, and we are going to take our encoded polyline and we are going to paste it in here. Okay, is everything okay? Okay, now we still have this issue here with the add marker, but we are going to edit that in a bit. The final thing we will want to use here is create route, and we are going to paste our route here. Perfect. Now let's fix the issue with the add marker. For the add marker, I want first of all to take a parameter of, and I'm going to call this location, and a string location, or I can call it address. And for the position of this marker, instead of going with last position, I'm going to put location, which is where we're going, and here I'm going to put address as the title. And for the snip, I can just put go here. Okay, there's a lot of code going on in here, but don't worry, you have to finish things properly. And the very final part we want in here is, because this method in here is not being called, this method in here is not being called from anywhere. So how can we fix this? Let's go up in here. Don't worry, for the next videos we'll take this out of the UI. Let's go up in here for our destination, and for our destination there's a couple things we may need to do. First is, I think we're not even using a controller here, so destination controller is being used, and how do you call that, text input action. And this text input action basically shows what's the main action on your keyboard. If you want it to write go, if you want to write done, join, route, or something, I'll just put go. And finally we have on submitted. We're going to take the value that it's inside of the text field, and send request, and here we're going to take the value. So what are we doing here is saying that when this go is clicked, when the text field is submitted, we want to take what's typed inside of this text field, the destination, and want to paste that inside of send request. And if you go to send request, just to explain how everything is going to work, we are going to create a place mark. We are going to take that value, we are going to convert into latitude and longitude values, okay? And we are going to add a marker on that position. After we get this, we are going to add a marker on that position that we want to go. After that, we are going to create a request for our Google Maps API to provide us an encoded polyline from our initial position, or where the user is, to our destination, where the user wants to go. And then we are going to hit create route. Create route is going to add some polylines into our polyline set, which is going to be a set of lines that are going to draw our route with 10 and color blah blah blah. And for the points that are going to make up our route, we are going to convert, because the points must be in latitude, longitude, so we're going to convert the decoded list. The list we're going to get from here is going to be decoded, and then it's going to be converted to latitude and longitude points, and it's going to be passed in here. I hope you guys understood this, and if you didn't, feel free to ask me any questions. Okay, now what's left for us to do is we'll go ahead and replace my API key, and then I'll run everything, and we will run everything together. So I may just pause the video for me to go and get my API key.